Hi, Tyra Butler here, early career clinician coach. I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about what brings me even here in front of you right now. So a little while back, it was probably back in the fall, sometime in the fall last year, I had really downscaled my practice at the time. I had a young daughter and was staying home more often than I was working. And so it gave me some time and space to really think about my early process of when I was an intern, being pre-licensed, and I had been talking with some friends and colleagues who were both on the pre-licensure phase still, and those that were licensed and fairly early licensed, as well as ones that were 20 plus years down the line of being licensed. And something I was hearing and processing with them was how challenging and difficult it really is and was, even for me, to get all the pieces together to make it through licensure. And I realized that I didn't have it as hard as a lot of other friends of mine and colleagues, and that some of my friends and colleagues didn't even make it through licensure. And it really kind of shocked me, and at the same time I thought, well, that makes sense, because as I was hearing more and more also from other people that I was talking to in similar situations, I was hearing of all the problems and challenges that were even more than what I was aware of at the time. And so I started doing some research into this, because I really have always had a heart for the underdog, for those of us that are out there trying to make a difference in the world, trying to help people. And I have the greatest empathy for my colleagues, my friends and colleagues, because we were set out on the same path, wanting to do the same thing. And hearing how difficult it had been in these specific ways made me want to understand more. And so I had this time to be able to research into things, look into things, talk to people more. And I realized that there was some scary and significant statistics that I discovered through my state's licensing board. I really wanted to, I had done basically some informal research with friends, colleagues, and just people that I knew, talking with and pulling together information. And so I wanted to do some actual formal research and look into, okay, I wonder what the broader scope of this issue is, and like how many people are actually making it through licensure, how many therapists and counselors are going through the whole process of getting their degrees, getting registered with the boards, and then how many are actually making it through. And I discovered that about 50% of registered interns, that was the licensure or registration status that I was under prior, so anyone prior to January of this year, 2018, in California, was a registered marriage and family therapist intern. And then also, I believe, social workers and licensed professional clinical counselors. I don't believe their titles have changed, but the statistics that I found was also for professional clinical counselors. So that intern status title for those that go on for the LPCC in California, at least. And I found that nearly 40% of them were not making it through licensure over a 4-year period. The period that I was able to gather numbers for the marriage and family therapist interns was covering 10 years. So that means they had 6 years to get their hours and get licensed, and even those that didn't get their hours within 6 years, they had over 10 years, so they never got renewed their registration number, and they never got licensed even within a span of 10 years. So this, really compounded the whole problem in my mind too. It validated what I already knew, but it also compounded the problem to think that it's, statewide. And then it got me talking to more and more people, more and more pre-licensed therapists, provisionally licensed therapists all across the U.S. and so many different states, representing so many different states. And I was hearing similar problems that I had begun hearing and that I was even aware of early on, and still, was aware of just on my own accord. And I realized that, they didn't necessarily have to have it so hard. I mean, there's some factors in what contributes to the problem of getting licensed. There's some factors that are out of my control. There's nothing that I can personally, professionally do anything about. And at the same time, I realized, what? I had it so good, fortunately, compared to so many of my friends and colleagues. And I realized the reason was because I had the opportunity to start in a private practice right out of graduation. So while I was pre-licensed, I moved to a couple different sites in a private/group practice. And my last 3 years, I was in an actual private practice while I was pre-licensed and under supervision. And I realized that the fact that I did that, and that I took the steps and pulled the pieces together that I did as a result of doing that and becoming successful in a private practice while I was pre-licensed, I realized that in itself made such a difference in me overcoming a lot of the other obstacles that a lot of my friends and colleagues were encountering, and that were leading them off the path of getting licensed, getting burned out, not being able to make enough money, not being able to earn enough hours, and difficult employers, supervisors, poor quality supervision, all these different factors that were contributing to why people were either just, saying forget about it and moving on to something else, or they were put in a position out of necessity where they had to make ends meet and just survive, in life, and, contribute and support their families, because they were having trouble being able to do that as a pre-licensed counselor or therapist or provisionally licensed. And so I really had this aha moment and realized I could move forward and become a supervisor and help, mentor and coach my supervisees in how to, build their private practices and be able to become successful early on like I was. And then I realized, or I could do that, and I could also do a service where I can teach that to so many more. Yes, I'm one person, and I also have the ability where I can teach more people how to do that, and maybe I could make a ripple in the tide of this whole problem of so many counselors and therapists getting on this path and this road and not being able to make it. I realized that is one significant way that I can give back. And it's really become, in addition to my therapy practice, because I've now been scaling that back up, and I kind of downscaled it temporarily, to be at home the majority of the time when my daughter, was the first 2 years of life, and I still am home a lot, and I'm virtually a stay-at-home mom. And at the same time, I'm scaling my practice back up, and I'm creating these services, because it's also other than helping people as a therapist and doing therapy, one-on-one with individuals and couples, my other passion and mission has really become to figure out and offer services and create products and services that will help you, the pre-licensed, provisionally licensed counselor therapist, to be able to be successful early on and be able to create, money-making practices, do something completely new and different than what so many of your colleagues are doing, and what you probably think, you're going to need to do, which is just go out and find some job that's available to you in the field and try to, make ends meet and get your hours and pass the exams and all of that. But what I'm here doing is creating something for you where you can do something new. You could actually, as long as it's legal and ethical in your state, which I've found it is in many of our U.S. beautiful states, that you can start a money-making practice now while you're pre-licensed. Once you have your registration number, your associate number, by finding a supervisor and getting into a private or group practice, you will set yourself up for success. You'll set the stage for being able to make more money per hour than you could doing in any other position in our field. And whether you do that solely and put all your time and effort, professionally speaking, into that, or you do it alongside of some other part-time job or something else in the field that will not burn you out or make you feel overworked or burdened. So I'm so excited because I've already begun helping some people with this, and they're already beginning to see the benefits of it, and it's really exciting to see it help someone else. And so my mission is to be able to offer this for you if it's legal and ethical in your state. And so that's one of the things I've been busy creating and putting together, and I'm close to being there, putting the final touches on that. And once that's launched and available to you, I will be also creating other products and services, because my mission is to create what you need that addresses your needs in the pre-licensure, road to licensure process. And so that may be teaching you and helping you understand what all your options are, because a lot of us graduate without necessarily knowing what the options are, and we just end up looking on the websites, the job boards, and figuring it out that way. But there's so much more to it than what you just see Googling something. And so there's a lot of products and services that I want to be able to help you guys with. I want to help boost your confidence. I want you to feel like you have a better grasp on what the theoretical orientations are that really help people and really work, and to really get your hands around better ways that you can help people, and better ways that you can earn income and not get burned out, and really navigate your way through this whole thing to become professional, licensed, successful therapist and counselor. So I find it so rewarding, and so I wanted to let you know that this is something that you're going to be hearing more from me about, and this was the first sort of round of what I wanted to share with you, just straight from my heart, so that you can get an understanding of kind of the landscape of what this whole situation is when you step out of graduation. And it's on you to then put all these pieces together. So I've got your back, I'm cheering for you, and I'm creating stuff just for you. Okay, so thank you for listening. All right.